Am I like in focus forever? Merry Christmas to me and my new camera. Very, very excited. Will I be in focus and clearer than ever forever? Here's to hoping. Hello, lovelies, and welcome back to a new episode of Real Nightmares, where we compare horror media to the true horrors that inspired them. I'm Katie Adkins, and happy holidays! It's been a while since I've been able to make a Real Nightmares holiday episode, because there aren't many Christmas horror movies that are based on a true story. Black Christmas is also like the holiday horror movie, so like how am I supposed to follow that up? But this year, I realized there's a guy who likes to stay aloof and come down every so often to bestow us with a gift. That's right, Mothman and his prophecies. It's like Santa. Mothman has actually been on my mind a lot this year. Especially considering this past Dragon Con in Atlanta, not only did my friends and I dress up as a Mothman and a lamp, but it was actually one of the very first TikToks I've ever been in that like got kind of popular, which was really cool. My first viral Dragon Con cosplay. My friends Mary and Ashley posted this video of us at the con, and it was so cool seeing how everyone loved it so much. We're now thinking maybe we should bring it out every year. I have my Mothman shirt on. I actually completely forgot I own this shirt when I started this video. It was definitely like an impulse purchase like back in 2018, 2019. We've got him on the sleeve where it says man-sized bird creature something. Get in on that. You can get close on that guy. And then the other sleeve says winged red-eye thing. So he's definitely something. I've never been to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, but this shirt will make you think. It will make you think that I have been. Mothman, look out! I never wear this shirt. I should wear this shirt like more often. If I was someone who still made a Christmas card, I definitely would have made a Mothman Christmas card this year. But alas, I do not have time for that. I am not someone who makes Christmas cards anymore. But I totally should have done a Mothman one this year. So the Mothman Prophecies is a movie that is based on a book that is based on true events. We're gonna cover all of that, and then we'll get into the lore, the sightings, and the history of the Mothman. This story is based on events which occurred in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Love the edgy early 2000s font. So sleek and cool and edgy for Mothman. But for real, this opening sequence is oddly sexy. We need to bring this vibe back. It's giving Hackers, it's giving X-Files, it's giving Matrix, mystery intrigue. It even includes naked women. If I didn't know any better, I would assume this movie was about an enemies to lovers forbidden high passion sexual relationship between Richard Gere and Mothman. I now have a need for a Robert Eggers Mothman movie. So enter Richard Gere, who plays John Klein, a busy workaholic reporter for the Washington Post, but don't worry, he still loves and prioritizes his young hot wife, Mary Klein, played by Deborah Messing, who by the way is 20 years younger than Richard Gere, because Hollywood would rather normalize and romanticize enormous age gaps in movies instead of entertaining the idea that it's possible to have a healthy relationship with someone your own age. I digress. The lovely couple is house hunting, and if we don't have a scene of them canoodling around, how else can we know they love each other, since liking your wife is a foreign concept for movie marriages before the year 2015.
I mean, the last time I made love to my wife, it was ridiculous. Nothing was happening. I looked at her, I said, what's the matter? Can't you think of anyone either?
Here you are.
We were just making sure there was adequate closet space.
After closing on the house, they go for a little drive and bam, Mothman. This little accident lands Mary in the hospital where her brain scans show moth. Just kidding, it's a brain tumor. Because Hollywood can't stand happy marriages, they have to, of course, kill her off to force John to have some character development. So, she dies. But not before she has visions of a spooky, red, beady-eyed, bat-like figure. John goes to Steve from Sex and the City for emotional support. I seriously can't see this guy without hearing him say, Miranda, 50 times in my head.
Miranda, I think it'll help. Look, Miranda. Miranda?
After Mary's passing, John learns she developed a passion for art.
she's really good.
Everything seems very healthy and normal to me. 2 years later, John throws himself into his work, blowing off all prospects of love, and makes the drive to Richmond, Virginia to interview the governor for his big hotshot reporter career. A few hours in, his car breaks down and his phone won't work. Now traveling on foot to find some help. He meets a lovely couple who warmly welcomes him into their home.
I've been waiting for you.
They call Officer Connie Mills, who does her best to defuse the situation.
This is the third night in a row he's come around. This son of a bitch is stalking us.
Clearly there's some confusion here. Gordon explains that John Klein here has shown up at exactly 2:30 a.m. every night for the last 3 nights asking to use the phone, and every time they tell him to f*** off. But what's strange is John has never been here or met these people before. He explains his car broke down and he just needs help.
You're lucky that I'm a Christian because I had the right to shoot you right there on my porch.
You actually had to have been inside the house, Gordon.
What?
I shouldn't have to explain that. If you own a gun, you should know your rights, right? He hitches a ride into town and learns he is nowhere near his destination of Richmond, Virginia. He is in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. He is not only roughly 6 hours away from his destination, but he is 6 hours away from Washington, D.C. And for those of you who don't know, his Point A to Point B drive from D.C. to Richmond, it was only a 2-hour drive, which means he managed to end up 6 hours away in only a 2-hour drive. So he teleported. Or maybe dimension jumped, depends on your flavor of conspiracy theory and your knowledge of the space-time continuum. Oh, and before you ask, it's never explained.
Somehow between 1 and 2:30, I traveled 400 miles and ended up on that road by your house.
So speed equals distance divided by time. So to travel 400 miles in 1.5 hours, John would have had to have driven 266 miles per hour. The top speed of his Chevy Impala is 240 miles per hour. So, you know, impossible. The movie is trying to imply teleportation. You don't need me to know that. You don't need me to explain that. Next morning, John learns his car is fine.
Can't find a damn thing wrong with her.
But John is not fine. He's concerned with his potential new superpower. He drives to Gordon's house at night to see if a different man shows up at Gordon's house at 2:30 a.m. and is joined by Officer Connie. No one shows up, and Connie confesses to John that people in Point Pleasant have been reporting seeing strange and unexplainable things. She shows him the reports, and it's full of red eyes, weird lights, strange phone calls, moth-like creatures, and eye burn, or medically known as clique conjunctivitis, an eye condition caused by prolonged exposure to UV rays.
Seeing a UFO is one thing. What do you do when someone comes into your office and tells you they saw this in their backyard?
Okay, I like it, Picasso.
Time to do what all good reporters do. Abandon your current assignment and force your way into people's lives to talk about their trauma. I'm sure the mayor of Virginia and the Washington Post will understand.
That makes it, what, about 8 feet tall?
Uh-oh, markings match the markings on the car. If Mothman is attracted to anything, it's a healthy sex life. But he will warn you to use protection.
We're getting engaged.
Good for you. After John inserts himself into these people's lives for his own amusement and curiosity, he starts receiving weird phone calls of his own. And 43 minutes into the movie, we finally get our first prophecy.
99 will die. 10 for 9.
Love how it's so cryptic that basically nothing can be done about it except agonize over it.
I even wrote it down. I did not draw that.
Okay, so let's fast forward a bit. Gordon's ear bleeds, his CT scans show up clean, and that night, 99 die on a Denver flight. John fills Connie in on the hot goss, and she confesses she had a really weird prophetic-like dream where she's drowning in the freezing ocean with presents floating in the water. As she sinks, she hears a whisper, "Wake up, number 37.
And then I woke up.
Gordon says he met Mothman and is very chill about it. He manifested as human-like and sounded very biblical.
He said, "Do not be afraid."
Told him his name is Indrid Cold and gave him a new prophecy that at the equator, 300 will die. Wait for me, I will return. I will see you in time.
And that was it.
What he expected Gordon to do with this information is beyond me. But 300 died in an earthquake in Ecuador. Just imagine an entity following you, telling you useless information that you can't do anything to stop. Hey, psst, you see that woman over there? Yeah. She's going to spill her drink. Oh, okay. I spilled my drink. Was I supposed to do something?
She knew.
Indrid pays another visit to Gordy and they three-way call John.
Hello, John Klein.
They play a little party trick.
Where's my watch?
In your shoe, under the bed.
Connie rushes to Gordon's house only to learn he did not call John.
I've been asleep since 9.
He gets the voice analyzed and is determined it's not a human voice.
But whatever it is, it's not coming from human vocal cords.
He tracks down a paranormal author named Alexander Leake who previously wrote about psychic prophecies and demands info.
Mothman.
Well, I could have told you that.
Yeah, asking for an explanation for something that can't be explained rationally.
All we really learned from this visit is that due to the high volume of people who have seen Mothman in Point Pleasant, it just means something terrible is probably going to happen and there's not much anyone can do about it.
Whatever brought you there? Brought you there to die.
Jump back to Point Pleasant, we learn Gordon lost his job, his wife left him, and John finds him standing on a bridge waiting for the Mothman. John gets another weird cryptic call from him. He rushes out and finds his body in the woods. What's odd is he died of exposure about 8 hours ago, and he called John 1 hour ago. Now he's hearing people are receiving voicemails from him, but he never called anyone.
I would swear in a court of law that that's your voice.
After this, Connie claims John's deceased wife came by the station asking for him. Naturally, at this point, John is just spiraling. He's just spiraling now. He believes this chemical plant is going to explode and tries to warn everyone from the disaster, including the governor who's supposed to go visit, making himself look insane. But this time, the disaster doesn't happen, and he just looks insane. And before you know it, it's Christmas Eve! And he isn't any steps closer to figuring out what's going on or what's going to happen. And as he drives upon the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant, he realizes it's going to collapse. Frantically, he tries to convince as many people as possible to get off the bridge before it's too late. Many do flee and survive, but tragically, 36 people die in the dark waters with Christmas presents floating around them. Except for Connie, who would have been victim number 37. It's a shame her prophetic dream about the event did nothing to save any of the other 36 people. And also a shame that not all of the prophecies came to fruition, so there's not a whole lot anyone can do about any of them. I guess the universe cherry picks which ones come true and which ones don't. And of course, we have to have our end of movie 2000s follow-up text. The ultimate cause of the collapse of the Silver Bridge was never determined. Although sightings have continued around the world, Mothman was never seen in Point Pleasant again. So, what's the moral of the story? If an entity tells you a cryptic prophecy, ignore it. There's nothing you can do about it. And if you try to stop it from happening, no one will listen to you. Nothing different will happen, and everyone will think you're insane, and it'll ruin your life. While this movie was called The Mothman Prophecies, it tells us pretty much nothing about the Mothman legend. The movie is based on John Keel's book, which also has based on a true story slapped on its cover. And I don't know why I read it thinking I was going to get any more answers beyond this movie. The movie introduces and rewrites our book's main character, John Keel, UFO investigator, to John Klein, political reporter. Don't be fooled. This book is about John Keel's personal experiences while visiting Point Pleasant in 1967. Kind of a hard read, I'm not gonna lie. It felt like reading a bunch of jumbled up stories about UFOs and the coincidences people have in their UFO experiences, and then jumping back to his experiences in Point Pleasant. The formula for these UFO sightings seem to be person sees UFO or alienoid creature. They get weird phone calls of static and various beeps. They get visited by strange men, aka men in black, who drive up in black Cadillacs either wearing black suits or inappropriate clothing for the weather. These strange men either threaten them to not report the UFO sighting, or they just ask a bunch of random questions and then leave. Person gets symptoms of amnesia around the incident, forgetting random details, and sometimes forget the events happened altogether, only to remember it again later. And then, these people may or may not develop some ESP or precognition abilities. Rinse, repeat for like 200 pages. But a big theme is UFO contact equals psychic abilities. Keel's beliefs are that UFOs and aliens aren't even extraterrestrial. He says that they are ultra-terrestrial and part of our world, but connected in parallel dimensions that they know how to traverse, but we don't know yet. He also believes mediums and psychics are people who are just able to be attuned to these other beings more than the rest of us. And everything we view to be supernatural in all of our folklore is due to these UFOs and ultra-terrestrials. And I mean everything. Dragons, vampires, Ouija boards, fairies, ghosts, demons, angels, Jesus himself, sea monsters. One of these mysterious creatures is a being in the book who calls himself Indrid Cold, who we did see in the movie. He regularly interacts with a local named Woodrow Derenberger, aka Woody, who developed a relationship with Indrid so intimate that he claims he even got to go inside his spaceship, which apparently was underwhelmingly basic and low-key boring. We described the inside of the ship as disappointingly normal. We never learn the purpose of Indrid Cold's visit, nor do they seem connected to Mothman in any way outside of the fact that Indrid Cold visited Woody in Point Pleasant the same year there were Mothman sightings. That's the only correlation between the two. One thing John Keel does tell us that's true is that he did accidentally start a local legend by his car breaking down and stopping at a stranger's house in the middle of the night needing a phone, and the couple being very freaked out by his presence. The movie embellishes this with some sort of amnesia time travel scenario, but he did scare them so badly that when that same couple died a couple weeks later in the Silver Bridge collapse, friends and family believed that John must have been the devil himself here to collect their souls. The coincidence was too much for them, and they needed to make religious connections in order to make sense of it. The movie also borrowed Gordon's ear bleeding from an event John Keel witnessed himself. He went to explore the TNT area with the original Mothman couple survivors. I say survivors, but they were not attacked. I just don't know what else to call them. And they all heard a loud clang except for Keel himself. And Mary Mallett's ear started bleeding. Keel decided this must be a side effect of a concussion and that the air pressure changed so drastically, causing not only her concussion, but the loud sound they all thought they heard. In the movie, the doctor brushes the bleeding off as a sign of a migraine, which is ridiculous. Ear bleeding will always be a sign of an infection or an injury. Oh, and while your ear can bleed from a concussion, you can't just get a concussion from air pressure changing unless you're literally next to an explosion. Weather-related air pressure will not cause a concussion, and it will not cause your ear to bleed. Now, there are a couple prophecies mentioned in the book. These prophecies were predicted by people who also claimed to have contact or have seen UFOs, aka possibly Mothman. Some were predictions made through dreams, while others through mysterious phone calls from strangers or messages sent to people telepathically. One is the assassination of Pope Paul. They said he would be attacked in a crowd at an airport by a man dressed in a black suit and wielding a black knife. After his assassination, there would be 3 days of darkness and worldwide power failures. They believed that this would happen in Istanbul in 1967. This event did not happen, but one similar occurred 3 years later. On November 27, 1970, Pope Paul arrived at the Manila International Airport in the Philippines. A man dressed in the black garments of a priest came out of the crowd and sprang at the Pope with a long black knife in his hands. Fortunately, security guards wrestled him to the ground, and the pontiff was unhurt. The would-be assassin was a Bolivian painter named Benjamin Mendoza, who allegedly practiced black magic and witchcraft. Witnesses said that he had glassy eyes and seemed to be in some kind of trance during the attack. The entities had correctly described the general circumstances of the attempt, but their dates were all wrong. And it happened in the Far East and not the Middle East. John Keel also believed entities warned him about factories along the Ohio River exploding. And he was given a definite date for the mass blackout by one of these entities that he had somewhat befriended, actually. And that date was December 15th, 1967. Another prophecy was told to him by Point Pleasant local Virginia Thomas, who had a bunch of disturbing dreams after what she believed was a UFO fly over her house on November 2nd, 1967. Sometimes her dreams were of people going into the Ohio River, as others were struck with fear running from the river. Other times it was people drowning in the river with Christmas presents floating all around. Her dreams seemed centered around a tragedy happening in the Ohio River, but couldn't make sense of it, just like Connie's dreams in the movie. And while there were no factory explosions or mass blackouts that day, on December 15th, 1967, Virginia Thomas's dreams seemed to be the most accurate, as the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, did collapse during rush hour traffic. The bridge, built in 1928, was considered a marvel at the time, the first of its type in the United States, reported by Engineering News Record in 1929. But sadly, the wear and tear of the bridge over the years could not withstand the weight of then modern-day 1960s vehicles, and at 5 p.m. on December 15th, 1967, there was a loud gunshot-like noise, and like dominoes falling in less than 20 seconds, the entire 1,460-foot suspended portion of the Silver Bridge collapsed into the river, taking with it 32 vehicles and 46 victims, including 2 who were never found. Did they kind of sort of predict a huge tragedy? Yeah. You know, they did. Sure, they managed to vaguely predict a tragedy that was going to occur on December 15th on the Ohio River, causing many to drown. They just falsely predicted that it was an explosion and not the bridge collapsing. And to what gain? They weren't able to do anything about it, and they warned no one about it. This event became connected to Mothman because after the bridge collapsed, there were no more Mothman sightings and no more prophecies of future tragedies in Point Pleasant. And this was after a full year of over 100 sightings of Mothman in Point Pleasant. It was hard to not correlate the two for the townsfolk. Now the thing about the numbers. In the movie, Connie says, "Wake up, number 37," which isn't something Virginia Thomas had in her dream, but a different citizen of Point Pleasant heard someone telepathically telling them numbers. They would hear in the middle of the night, "Wake up, number 491," or 873. "You are number 873. And another woman in Kansas wrote, "Please tell me who these people are that keep reading numbers to me. They sound as if they are standing right next to me, but there is no one there." The movie apparently took this little detail and wanted to incorporate it by making it part of Connie's dream and related to the Silver Bridge collapse. And while this was a weird thing that happened and they, talked about in the book, it actually had nothing to do with any of the prophecies or predictions. Oh, and a fun fact I learned reading the Mothman Prophecies, not just young lovers getting it on Lover's Lane fairly often, but very specifically seem to appear in front of women who are menstruating. Now, how he acquired this level of information, I do not know. So if you're on your period, ladies, watch out for extraterrestrials, okay? So now that we know the movie's main source material and the prophecies, what the hell is Mothman? I want to learn about Mothman, damn it! There is not enough Mothman for me in this Mothman book. But to fully explain the lore and legend of Mothman, we have to go way before John Keel's time. In New York on Coney Island in 1877, nearly 100 years before the first official Mothman sighting, a man in black was seen flying with wings, performing aerial acrobatics over the crowd. According to the New York Times, September 12th, 1880, many reputable persons saw him as he was engaged in flying toward New Jersey. They stated he was about 1,000 feet high and his wings looked like bat wings, making swimming-like movements. Some even say they saw his face, which had a cruel and determined expression. No idea what that means. It's just what it said. So let's fast forward to the early 1960s near the Ohio River on the border of West Virginia and Ohio. There were a few mysterious bird sightings before the stories really started getting traction. In 1960, a young woman was driving when a tall man stepped into the road and she swerved around him, slamming on her brakes. She watched a pair of huge wings unfold on the man's back and he shot up in the air. In 1965, a little boy told his mother he saw an angel in their yard. Shortly after that, another woman in the area said she saw a 6-foot man with butterfly-like wings on his back. But the big one, the story that put Mothman on the map and into the public eye, was in 1966. November 15th, 1966, two young married couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Stephen and Mary Mallet, went out for a drive and took a route that led them to a place the locals call the TNT area. To clear up what the TNT area is, it's technically abandoned and spooky and also owned and monitored. It's a state-owned wildlife management area and set up for public hunting, fishing, and camping. But there is an abandoned power plant there that was a spooky local spot young people sometimes went for fun at night, I guess. But it is a public area set up for visitors. It's called the TNT area because during World War II, they built a bunch of above-ground bunkers or igloos they used as storage for TNT. So as these two couples neared the gate around 11:30 p.m., Roger saw a pair of red lights in the darkness, roughly 7 feet above the ground. He stopped the car and they got out to investigate, Scooby-Doo style. Then they realized these red orbs were eyes. Wait, oh my god, did this inspire Scooby-Doo? When did Scooby-Doo come out? Oh my god. Scooby-Doo came out a few years after the... Just throwing a dog! It's like Scooby-Doo! They described seeing a man-like figure with scaly wings wrapped over his back. Scared, they ran back to the mystery machine and sped down the road going 100 miles per hour. They said the creature unfurled its wings and ascended into the air. The creature hit the top of their car 3 different times as they attempted to speed away. It followed them and kept pace with the vehicle, and it followed them for a while. It would be sitting on different points of Route 62, and by the time they arrived into town, the creature started appearing on buildings and structures around them. They reported this to the police, who didn't believe them at first, calling them crazy and accusing them of drugs. But after learning they were sober, and based on how terrified they were, the police came around to looking into their story. It wasn't long before the media jumped on this bizarre story, creating my favorite news sub-headline ever. Couples see man-sized bird creature something. And due to popular shows at the time, like Batman, they started calling the creature Mothman. Many people came forward saying they saw this creature too. And while some details may vary, a few tend to stay the same. He's about 7 feet tall and has a wingspan of more than 10 feet. He's described as having scaly brown-gray, dark rust red or black skin, and big glowing red eyes with either a human-like or insect-like face. Some say there is no face and the red eyes are embedded in his chest. Occasionally witnesses say it's completely silent, but majority say there's uncomfortable humming and screeching sounds coming from the creature. The media tried to discredit these sightings by trying to claim everyone was just seeing a sandhill crane, but no one was really buying it. Plus, cranes nor owls cause radio interference or uncontrollable fear to those who look upon them. While Mothman did terrify the folks of Point Pleasant, there's no reports of it ever attacking or hurting anyone, although it did seem curious about people. November 16th, 1966, the Thomas family, I don't know if there's any relation to Virginia Thomas, it's just a family with the surname Thomas, saw a red light in the sky above the TNT plant near their home. While walking their friends to their car, a tall winged creature with glowing red eyes rose up from behind the vehicle, almost as if it had been lying on the ground. It turned toward them and the friends ran back into the Thomas's home. Ralph Thomas locked the door and turned all the lights out. Terrified, trying their best to be quiet, they huddled together. They heard the creature step onto the porch and watched as it pressed its face up against the window, trying to look in with its glowing eyes. They called the police, but by the time they arrived, the creature was gone. 2 days later, 2 firemen claimed they saw Mothman in the woods near that same TNT area, perched on a neighbor's roof. This time, when the authorities arrived, they got a glimpse of the creature. He simply stood there before rising into the sky. And Point Pleasant wasn't the only area that saw a bizarre creature flying around. There were even more sightings of an airplane-sized bird in Ohio, Illinois, Missouri, and Mississippi. Salesman Harry Bradford was quoted saying, "I've seen it 3 times in the last 4 days, and that's too much tomfoolery for a man of 50 to take." Then the tragic event of the Silver Bridge collapsing happened. On the evening of the disaster, many reported seeing dozens of strange lights in the sky. Some reported getting a mysterious phone call warning them to stay away from the bridge. One little girl claimed Mothman appeared at her window the night before the collapse. They were supposed to go on a trip and drive on the Silver Bridge that night, but the father got a horrible migraine, making him unable to go anywhere. The family believes the Mothman caused his migraine to save the little girl's life, like a scary guardian angel. After the bridge collapsed, no one saw Mothman in Point Pleasant again. And this is not the first story of seeing a mysterious flying creature before disaster strikes. In 1947 in Texas City, Texas, there were reports of giant red-eyed owls flying around. Then, a cargo ship called the Grand Champ that was carrying explosives caught fire in a harbor. The flames spread to other ships, causing yet another to explode. The blast destroyed a huge portion of the town, killing approximately 580 people, making this event the deadliest industrial accident in U.S. history. In Freiburg, Germany, in 1978, coal miners that reported to work that morning of September 10th found a giant man-like creature with huge wings blocking the entrance of the mine. When they tried to approach, the creature opened its mouth and let out a painful shriek like a siren. All of a sudden, far below them, an underground shaft exploded and a burst of flame and smoke came blasting from the entrance. After the smoke cleared, the creature was gone. 21 miners were saved that day. There are even reports of Mothman sightings right before the accidental explosion at Chernobyl in Ukraine. Several workers at the plant reported seeing a large red-eyed winged creature days before the accident. Some even say they had received scary phone calls and nightmares. And that April 26, 1986, the explosion happened, killing 30 people, but the radioactivity, we all know, killed many more after that. Locals say they saw a man-like bird flying in and out of the smoke that rose from the reactor. And I could go on, actually. The number of stories is startling, to say the least. And they're all pretty prophetic sounding. I'm surprised none of them are mentioned in, the Mothman Prophecies book, but the legend of Mothman goes even further back than the 1900s, and before colonists arrived in America. The Shawnee was one of many native tribes that lived around the Ohio and West Virginia area. They have a legend of the Thunderbird, a giant man-like bird. They believed his wings, when flapped, sounded like thunder and caused storms. It was also able to emit lightning bolts from its eyes. Some say it could even take the form of a boy and speak backwards. Fast forward to 1777, it's believed a curse was placed on the area we now call Point Pleasant. The Shawnee people were enraged and devastated after the settlers, who pretended to be their friend, killed their chief and his son. They say Chief Cornstalk, or Hokulesqua, cursed his killers, their descendants, and the land where his blood had been spilled. All that remains of Chief Cornstalk are 3 teeth and some pieces of bone that are sealed to this day in a stone pillar in Point Pleasant Battlefield State Park. Some people believe this curse is related to Mothman's arrival. Does Mothman bring the disaster with him, or is he just trying to warn us? Others, like John Keel, believe Mothman is extraterrestrial and related to UFOs. UFOs are spotted often in West Virginia, so it's possible. Mothman is now a beloved citizen in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. They even have a sculpture of him that tourists travel to all year long that was built in 2003. And they have an annual Mothman festival that include exhibits of Mothman-related objects and a hayride for visitors to see the sights mentioned in the stories. In 2005, a Mothman Museum and Research Center opened up, and it includes props from the movies, historical documents, and documentaries about the odd friendly creature. His legend lives on and is a beloved creature and mystery in pop culture to this day. So what do you think Mothman is? A friendly creature trying to warn us? Or a harbinger of death and destruction? I hope you learned something new today, because Lord knows I did. Just when I think I know everything there is to know about Mothman, I learned something something new. But it's what makes these videos so fun for me to make. Well, thank you for getting through this lengthy holiday special with me. And if you see Mothman on Christmas this year, well, let's just hope he's checking in on you and it's not a warning for anything. If you have any more Mothman info, please leave it in the comments, as well as more recommendations for other movies and games and media you'd like me to cover. Always remember to keep it based on a true story. And of course, always remember to keep it creepy. Merry Christmas! Ah!
We have a big Mothman beauty pageant.
From the Mothman, glowing red eyes, 10 feet tall, baby, that's no lie. Mothman, he's not from Japan, he's genuine American.